Be a real change of pace if you pull that trigger.
It would be, wouldn't it?
Okay, I mean, it would be a change of pace if you pull the trigger and actually hit her with a bullet. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are back with another episode of Mobile Suit Gundam GQuuuuuX. Sorry, I didn't realize if it had the Mobile Suit Gundam part in the front. I think it just says Gundam GQuuuuuX. Anyway, we have a board, we've got notes, we've got a comment. So let's go ahead and hop into the board first. And with the board comes the board changelog. I added Simus Al-Bakarov. Of course, actually, I didn't add her. She was already in the mentions before, so I've just, moved her across the board. I tied her into the Sudan's green line. Attempted to attach a purple line between her and Chalia, as more seems to be going on there. For now, wait to see more. Changed our unknown slicked back hair guy to Side 6 security, as he's labeled as an MP by Xavier, and by association his cohort as well. Then marked them as dead for the end of the episode events. Changed Zeon into 3 different factions to keep track of a possible civil war situation. Added Pergamino to the mentions. Added Nian's job handler guy. Connected Anqui to Chalia with a white line. Added Bosk Gates Kappa, and Dux, and connected them with a green line. Then connected that group with a red line to Cassilia.
It's due. That's French for two.
I don't give a shit. Added a white line. All right.
You're trying to spell it out.
I wasn't trying to spell it out. I was just trying to pronounce. In fact, I was trying to pronounce it. If I was trying to spell it out, I would have said DEUX. You know what? Just to fuck you, I'm going to do that from now on. Every time I have to say her name, it's DEUX. Added a white line connecting Xavier and Chalia, considering they are on opposite factions now. Xavier is asking himself if he can kill Chalia, and Chalia just saved his life, very much in an unknown relationship territory.
I mean, I would say that, well, you couldn't, you said you tried, but you didn't, you said you couldn't fix the purple line, or because I thought it was pretty obvious that they had some kind of intimate relationship between...
Legitimately, all she said was, I brought the wine, and he's like, oh, nice.
Yeah, so they can drink it together and the way she's standing, like she's grabbing, like she's doing the anime girl pose, like grabbing herself like this, like, well, it's like, oh yeah, no, she's at least into him.
I didn't say I couldn't put a purple line. If you need a refresher, I said tempted to attach a purple line between her and Chalia, as more seems to be going on there. For now, I'm going to wait and see. You say that it's 5 years of history we don't know. Literally, they could just be celebrating something. This could be a colleagues thing.
Maybe, but her
you're reading in to literally 1 to 2 sentences or body language, and I'm saying that's one scene. It's one scene. Who knows? And also, not for nothing, I mentioned it in a recording, which means people we know that we know. All that's not being represented is on the board, which is to say, we're just being a little bit more cautious about instantly saying 2 people are in a relationship that they might not be in. Also, not for nothing, the consideration here being that it kind of felt like Chalia might have had a thing for Char, in a more than he's my Mav sort of way, in which case it'd be kind of weird to indicate that he's moved on so quickly while he still seems to be eminently obsessed.
I mean...
In which case would indicate that maybe Simius has a thing for Chalia, but Chalia might not have a thing for her. Could be more complicated.
I mean, then you could put a purple line with an arrow on it, then.
Right, but then I'm still not sure. Could still be a colleague thing. Hey, we both served in the war, under Char. We have a shared connection in that respect. There's many ways to read it. It doesn't have to immediately be we have a thing for each other. I'm probably going to change the color for the Caecilia Xeon Group 2. It is technically a lighter shade of green, but to my going blind ass, it can also look white, and that's very confusing, as if to indicate that I don't know what faction these people are in.
It does look whiter than it should, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'd probably change it. I was trying to go from a green to a lighter green to an even lighter green, but Concept Board has a limited default color spectrum. It is technically not white, but I recognize the fact that I have white as an unknown makes it confusing.
Also, well, I was going to say, no, you're right. Having Chalabu connected to Giran, that still looks a little bit green, so it works.
What?
I was looking over that, and I looked over Chalabu, and I thought, oh, you just had him as regular green. It's like, no, you have him as light green under Giran.
Okay, I was confused because remember, Giran is also under the mentioned area, and I'm like, I don't have him connected to Giran.
No, by the white border.
No, I understood now. I was explaining the confusion. Because remember, Giran is over here under the mentioned area. You meant the faction Giran, not the person Giran.
Also, is it supposed to be Ortega and Miguel be dead already? They got blown up.
I got a secret for you. I saw a secret. I'm sure I haven't fucking missed it.
With MASH, survived by virtue of not even being anywhere near it. Like, I don't know.
MASH survived by having an affair.
Yeah. Moved up in the world, I guess. But that's it. That's all my observations on the board.
All right. Well, then we also have notes. I came with more, which means I go first. I was arranging our 8th MS team and MS Igloo rankings for our Universal Century watch through, and I only just noticed a possible connection that is more relevant here in this show than it could be in the main universe anymore. That being Simius Al-Bakarov's name. There was a character introduced in movie 3 that wasn't in the show. The man left behind by Degwin as the Xeon Prime Minister, Darcia Bakarov. Same last name.
Except for the Al.
Yeah, but that is, well, I don't know. Still it's Bakarov.
Daughter or son of, child of, which means it could be the same. Or it could be, different.
Still, didn't get mentioned because of the fact we watched the movies after everything. So, and it's just a character that appears out of nowhere. But they're still both Bakarov. And like I said, more prescient here because Simius is alive in this timeline. No idea what happens to Darcia, though, in a timeline where Degwin possibly doesn't die.
I mean, he's probably still there. He's just handling the civilian side of things. It's just, there's no reason for him to be anywhere else.
Well, I mean, there's no reason for him to be, is the problem. Where does Darcia stand in the middle of a possible civil war situation? Especially when he was tied to his father, a man one of these two was willing to kill in the past.
I mean, if his father...
I mean, it's pretty clear that Degwin's not around anymore. So we have no idea how that happens. I don't know about you, Lessons, but I'm willing to say foul play might be afoot.
No, but I mean, if Giran or Caecililia either didn't care, because he's basically the civilian face of the party. Although there's a mention of it, but I don't think I have a note that there are elements in Theon government that are against the Sabis, so he could be one of those elements. Now that the person he was allied with,
I could see where one of these two would see him as an impediment to their rise to power. What do they need him for?
I mean, he is the leader of the civilian government, so he could still be useful.
Right, but this is essentially oligarchy.
You still have to have the pretenses of being.
Do you?
Well,
I don't know what you need the pretense for.
Keep the people happy.
They're happy with you. Well, some of them aren't now anymore, not after the war. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Legitimately, I have no idea. The element is that it's known.
Oh, well,
It's known that
yeah,
the
but
zombies rule.
yeah, but just you can still and also somebody who deal with the day-to-day drudgery that you don't want to deal with, right?
Yeah,
That's just the way
replace
it goes.
him. Put a guy in who's loyal to you, not an
You don't.
independent guy. There's no use for having independent in Xeon.
Well, if she going back to Seamus, if she is alive and related to him, then they both would have been eliminated. After all, you don't want loose ends
Well,
in that
I don't
situation.
think so. One, if Caecilia, I mean, here's the thing: if Caecilia killed him and she's loyal to Giran, there's no reason for Giran to get rid of her.
But it would be for Caecilia to do so.
Right, but assuming that she didn't. Assuming that her primary target was Darcia and not her. Like, this also predicates that they are related. And it's just not a coincidence of naming.
Yeah. Anyway, to my first note. Episode 6, the plot to assassinate Caecilia. Machu's world unravels as her sense of being special gets challenged by Yang. Although had Yang not put that drive in her backpack, she wouldn't be here in the first place. I also doubt Chuji is as interested in her on Yang as they both like to think he is.
I mean, I have to disagree. Only on your behalf? Here's the thing, is that I don't disagree with your note on what I believe, but I have to disagree on your note on behalf of you, who has stated different things in the past. You think, by past context, that every time Shuji says, the Gundam says, you believe that Shuji is talking about himself. Thus, all last episode, not all, most of last episode, when Shuji is talking to Yan, he is saying, I like you just the way you are, says the Gundam. You know, he is going on about how the Gundam likes Nyan.
Yeah, but okay, let me put it this way. Going back to the whole Chyla Samius thing, is the way he acts. First of all, he's kind of an odd person, so reading how he feels is difficult. Not impossible, but difficult. But also, it's like it may not. Okay, I think both of them are interpreted what he's doing as being romantic. He might just be, oh, I just like you. Like, you're the only people who talk to me and are willing to hang up with me, and I kind of like you. So,
Obviously, I'm not going to lean one way with the Simius thing and then the other way with Shuji, but also to my point is that this isn't my point for myself. I'm arguing for a past lessons who has said specific
actually
things.
A past lesson was the one that argued that while both of them were like, oh, taking their gloves so they could be, beside him because they thought it's cold. He was like, I just have a cold and I have a huge fever.
Well, no, he's not regarding them at all. The point is, though, I'm talking about the lessons who says that the Gundam says is just a way to deflect how he actually feels by having somebody else say things for him. That's your point of view, mind you. That's not my point of view. I believe that the Gundam is actually talking to him. I think he just believes
it. He believes that he's, that, but I don't think it's a deflection. That's his quirk of him, right?
No, he is acting like a child. Same way he's smelling their hair and everything. I don't think he's a creep, or I don't think he's supposed to be coded to be a creep. I think he's like the same kind of, oh, I'm pulling your hair because I like you. One of those childhood things. I think I expect at some point we're going to get some sort of tragedy that has occurred to him in the past that has kind of regressed him mentally, and that's why he's like, if you imagine the Gundam, sorry, I just went through a whole Link Click episode where these parents got their kid stolen, and the mother regresses back to what the kid was, as though mentally replacing the kid with her own mind. So that she's like playing with the toy, and look at this, blah, blah, blah. So it wouldn't surprise me to say that Shuji went through some traumatic episode where he has now replaced something with the Gundam, and now the Gundam is saying things, and it's actually something from Shuji's past that is now being represented by the Gundam.
It could be that. or it merely is that he is, I hate to say this, but socially maladjusted.
I mean, I don't know.
Someone who's a loner, someone who doesn't have experience with other people. Is like, he has his own view of things and doesn't understand the impact of his actions on others, right? I think that's what I think, that there's a disconnect between how he views things and how everyone else views it. So it could be autistic.
This is just my interpretation of your own point, because I don't agree with it personally. I'm just trying to enter the space to discuss things from your point of view. I believe that the Gundam is intelligent and is actually talking to him. Until proven otherwise.
I think it's ultimately irrelevant to the idea that I'm trying to put forth, that he's not as interested in them as they are interested in him.
Well, that aspect, yes, irrelevant. To your previous thoughts that the Gundam is just some, air quotes, clever way of him putting his feelings out there with an emotional distance by saying that the Gundam is saying things, would then imply, through the things that he said this episode, from my perspective, of your perspective, that he does actually care about Neon. That is the debate point that I'm having there. Not even a debate point, because I don't think it's actually worth discussing until any romantic ties or anything actually happens or is separated. One of them says, hey, I actually care about you, and he's like, oh, okay, I don't actually care. If he pushes himself away, which might well be this episode, if they try to, hey, you need to get out of here, they're going to come for you in the Red Gundam, and he's like, okay, I don't care about you guys, I'm just going to go.
I have a note about that.
I don't have one. I'm just putting that out there right now.
Anyway, to your next note then.
A Psychomu-equipped machine is prohibited. I can't talk today. A Psychomu-equipped machine is prohibited by treaty. I assume they mean a treaty with Side 6, as I still have no clue what other governing bodies might exist post-war that Zeon would need to negotiate treaties with. This is an older note, because clearly the Federation still exists.
Well, I do have a note about that.
So do I. It's literally a Lessons was right note, so just sit on it.
Okay, well then, to my note then. Good to see Bakarov alive and well.
I mean, we barely know anything about her.
I kind of like the character. She stood out.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm just saying, what if, behind the scenes, she's out kicking puppies and whatnot? We don't know anything about her. The only thing we do know is that she's a card-carrying member of Zeon, which may not be the best thing. I know. I'm the Zeon guy. I'm just saying, not always good people.
Yeah, that's understatement of the year, but sure, go ahead.
I mean, it's not. Literally, there are some good Zeon people. Everybody who saw Operation British happening and had a fucking breakdown, because but like I said, we're tied together by this fucking evil thing that we all did. In 3 days, there will be an unofficial conference that not even Guren's office knows about yet. Between the former chairman of the One Naval Initiative, a shipbuilding cartel, and the current president of Site 6, Pergamino, and Her Excellency Caecilia. I think I said and for no good reason. The chairman of the One Naval Initiative and the president of Side 6 is the same person.
Yes.
I think I just said and as a both of these titles thing, but reading it out loud, it comes across as though I'm talking about two different people. So, to clarify, both Pergamino.
I have more about that, so I'm gonna hold on to that. But my next note is about the Psycho system, so I'm gonna have to talk it anyway. So Psycho systems are legal under treaty. Clearly, this treaty didn't stop Zeon from doing just that. So it's probably meant to stop others from researching the technology and taking the advantage away from Zeon. We promise that we're not going to develop this as an encouragement for you to not continue to try to develop this. Because if you keep doing it, it's like the ABM treaty or cruise missile treaty. If we're both to it, then I can keep my advantage technologically without risking having you try to have an arms race about Psychomo systems.
I disagree. I think it's more a matter of the fact that for some reason the Federation just doesn't deal that much with new types. And I think it's a matter of, like, they're treating new types as a weapon system. So you will not deploy this weapon system in the same way that you will not deploy biological weapons or nuclear weapons. I think it's that kind of treaty. It's not a non-research treaty, because obviously we already know Federation would have broken that already, vis-a-vis end of episode stuff. Well, I think we just got our evidence for Chalia's telepathy. Harcourt thinks, "Why now?" behind Chalia's back, and he responds if she had asked the question out loud, directly turning his head to regard her, answering her question.
Yeah, I also put that in one of my notes, but
it wasn't one of those normal things where it's like she
yeah,
thinks a question and then he just continues his explanation, and it's like, oh, okay,
he
well,
literally turns to her and goes like, "This is why it's happening." Talk about
yeah,
the
it
money or
doesn't
something.
fit
Yeah.
into the conversation for him to just, tell her why, as per
And she's
what
not,
it usually
and she's
does.
not surprised, and she's not surprised either. She's like, "Oh."
I mean, her
Well,
surprise doesn't really enter into figuring it out. It's more so the fact that, like, I think he got confused. I literally think he got confused for a moment and thought she said it out loud.
I see that Pergamino move up in the world from this disreputable arms merchant to president of a colony, and kept his one naval, because again, going back to that episode, his thing about being a rich person that sold weapons to everybody was he also had a shipyards just outside of Site 6, which the white word, white
Yeah,
base.
it's a
Yes,
very
base.
simple word. I'm confused why you're
Yeah,
confused.
yeah. No, because I was like, white. What was the word again? Oh yeah, white base. White base was going to repair, and then they got ambushed, and in the original series,
Yeah, and he got shot.
and it got destroyed completely.
But it didn't get
Got blown
destroyed
to bits.
completely. He got shot multiple times. It seemed like the beams went right through it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that Pergamino couldn't have repaired and rebuilt, but I guess the thing is that we don't know. I guess this stuff gets handled in Zeta, because I don't know, right? Because I forget. I have the timeline, but I forget what year Zeta takes place in. But the idea that
It's 0083. No, I think it's earlier.
I'm not asking you to look it up or anything. I don't want to know.
No, I'm not looking up. I'm just remember where it.
Yeah, again, I could just open up my notepad. I don't want to do that. I'm just saying that the element is once we get there in our watch through, we can see if Pergamino winds up at the same place or not, and then we can figure out if the thing getting shot multiple times waylaid his political career at any point. Because obviously, I think he leverages his position as the cartel leader to put himself there. Because, MASH became a mayor, so clearly. Well, looks like you were right about Caecilia's efforts being worthwhile in trying to get Side 6 on her side in the event of a civil war. Harcourt suggests that the one naval initiative rivals Zionic and Anaheim, which was the entire basis of my counterpoint, that if Caecilia already controlled those two organizations, what would she get from Side 6? Well, I guess Side 6 wasn't as shit as I thought. Though Chalia suggests all Side 6 is good for is money, completely not mentioning the shipbuilding capabilities on offer.
Well, that goes, I guess, to my next note then. So Side 6, one naval rivals Anaheim and Sion in shipbuilding capability. If they change sides to support Caecilia, because originally they mentioned to be pro-Giran, at least Pergamino is pro-Giran, then she would have a fleet to go with her mobile suit production in Grenada, if she has that ability. It also suggests that Anaheim remains independent for now, whatever value of independence might be.
I should mention that I literally had a one-sentence note following this, which was, it is interesting to note that Side 6 is considered to favor Giran, despite Caecilia personally coming. For some reason, I separated the two out, but since you brought them both together in one note, indicating that I'd also put that out there. Just to clarify, I don't know if you just misspoke or something. Side 6 does not... Fuck, now it's my turn to forget words. Side 6 does not rival Xeon. It rivals Xeonic.
Xeonic, yeah.
Well, I think you said Xeon when you were reading. I was like, I don't know if you misspoke or what. Because Xeonic is just a company alongside Anaheim. It doesn't encompass all of Xeon's shipbuilding capabilities.
No. But I mean, if Xeon's shipbuilding capability goes through both of those companies, or at least one of those companies, then
I would assume not all of it. Because remember, I told you before, I've read the manga Developers, which is itself how Xeonic distributes its own its own building stuff through other smaller subsidiary companies too. So the idea is that there's a ton of other little companies out there, and these are like the main big two. And not for nothing, we know that Xeon has the Dark Bankai Bleach, the Dark Bankai, which also was a research and development and building place itself. So Xeon has its own national places, and it also outsources to, I guess, one at least nationalized company, and then I guess whatever the fuck Anaheim is doing. Like, I assume since Anaheim is still around, they must have separated themselves from the Federation.
Officially. Well, I guess Anaheim never really was officially with the Federation. They just were under contract by them, right? Once the contract was done, it was like, I'll sell to whoever.
I would assume it's like, well, I guess technically. Sorry, I'm just thinking about Boeing in real life, and it's like, well, technically, we wouldn't be getting a thing from another country if Boeing wasn't making it. Like, okay.
Origins, they mentioned, in fact, Anaheim was aligning themselves with, what's his name, got killed in that episode when they tried to assassinate the Char and his sister. Because the whole assassination happened because their teacher, who was, what was his name?
It took me a bit to remember you were talking about episode 2 of Origin, because I thought you were going to talk about the episode 5 of Origin. But no,
Rambo Rao's dad. Who's Rambo Rao's dad? Yeah.
I know. I'm just saying, well, that wasn't them associating with, now you got me forgetting his name. Anyway, he called them out to try and make a deal with them to get supplied to do this thing. That doesn't stand against the idea that Anaheim is with the Federation.
True. No, but the fact that they're willing and have contacts in Xeon that deep.
That wasn't in Xeon.
I mean, they have to smuggle the weapons or sell them in a third place.
The idea is then you have connections to smugglers, not within Xeon.
Yeah.
All I know is that they had connections to. I'm forgetting everybody's fucking names.
Well, I'm also getting spoiled because I know things that happen after, so never mind.
You shouldn't be. God damn it. Listen, stop telling me when you know spoilers. Like, hide it. I told you to hide it. Like, literally just act surprised for me. That's all you have to do. Fool me and the audience. Well, because, I mean, the idea is that we're supposed to be going into this together blind.
Mostly blind, yeah.
Well, as blind as possible. I mean, preferably, we would have one eye between the two of us.
Yeah, no, not that blind.
Well, I call the one who gets to choose the future. I want to snip the threads of fate. I mean, that's right. I want to be the oldest.
Anyway, that was your note, right?
I guess technically you read your note in response to mine. Although technically I read a response note into yours, too.
Okay.
So I think by the rules of how we're typically doing this, it's back to me again. Which is fine, because I've only got like a sentence again. Interestingly, the signs on the Side 6 Metro are written in Japanese, English, and Indonesian.
Yeah, I noticed the sign, but I didn't know the third language, so I didn't.
Well, you know me, I'm taking screenshots and putting it all to translator. I got another future note about how confusing one specific thing was to translate, to figure out what's going on with a specific character's room.
Anyway, a short note, and we already talked about this. Bull Red Harcourt's mine, for sure. And it seems our Lieutenant Bakarov has an intimate relationship with Shia LaBeouf. That's how I read it.
See, even you said it seems.
Well, it seems one-sided, at least. He clearly, I think, is interested in him. We don't know.
I'm just saying, in your own notes, you wrote down, it seems. and then got
But I
on
think the
me for
reason
not putting an
why
arrow.
they're putting Shyla more like a player rather than like, oh, this is a serious thing. For her, it's like, oh, he's like, oh my god, she's here, and he's like, sure,
Yeah,
let's
that's
have a
not a
bottle of
read
wine.
that anybody got. I feel like there was no, oh my god, yeah. I know you love your teenage romances, but that is not what I saw in her at all.
I don't know, body language said otherwise.
Again, I don't think so either. There's no way that I'm reading into her how she's carrying herself that says to me that she's like into him. It's just for me entirely on her words. Oh, she brought wine. We're gonna have it in her cabin later. The same thing I could say. Garma would say to Dozel. Like
No, but the way she acted,
Garma and Dozel spent a lot of time together in Origin, where they just like would talk about family matters and like I think like Garma treated Dozel like a surrogate father, even though he has a father he's very close to anyway. It just felt like Dozel was like his secondary dad, and they would just spend time just drinking and talking about stuff.
older brother.
Yeah, just saying, Simius does not feel like it has to be that kind of relationship. It feels like we could just be old war cohorts. Let's go talk and drink. And I know that you're more of a sophisticated guy, so it's not going to be like whiskey or anything like that. You like wine, so I brought wine.
That's a read.
I mean, like I said, anything is viable up until something gets proven.
Your next note then?
Machu is just the worst. I know I say it just about every episode now, but this episode in particular, Nyan was happy to share her experience with her friend, but Machu could only feel possessiveness over an experience she wanted to be wholly her own. She couldn't feel happy for her friend's success, or relief that her friend survived a harrowing experience, or even gratitude that her friend stepped in to cover for her when the entire when the entire operation was put at risk if the White Gundam ended up being a no-show. Instead, she became the petulant rich kid I said she was.
I mean, I mentioned that in the first paragraph, but there's more to it later on.
Yeah, well, I write mine out of order.
So Savior's real mission was to monitor Bull's activities in Site 6, which means that she, Caecilia, knows about the missing GQuuuuuX. Question is, why is he still alive after such a failure? Maybe she's more cautious these days.
I don't think she knows because of Xavier. I think she knows because of all the other operatives at play. Because remember, Xavier's getting information from Train Guy, who's already operative in the field, as per previous discussions that we've had, implying that from him, Xavier then finds out that Caecilia already knows.
Oh, to next note then. Yours, I think.
So we knew Machu's mother worked for the Side 6 government before, thanks to her meetup with Cameron Bloom. But now we see that she's the chief of Diplomatic Division 3's Audit Bureau.
Pretty high up in the government.
Yeah. I mean, high enough. Higher than most. But then again, you're still, like, I don't know. It's Diplomatic Division 3. You're not Diplomatic Division 1. And also, you're the Audit
Or the
Bureau.
Diplomatic Division period, or the Foreign Office or whatever, not the whole thing, just that.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, essentially, you're still a member of the bureaucracy, where being a member of the bureaucracy puts you higher than the normal man, say, but you're still, like, essentially in the middle field of the higher-ups. You're still, like, the nebulous cloud beneath the important people.
Well, my next point. The apple of discord. This scene shows us again how self-centered Machu is while Nyan tries to help them both. Machu's jealousy will be their undoing. But she goes visit to them and she has apples and one falls to the ground and Nyan picks it up. Like, literally, she picks up the apple of discord. Like, oh, this is what, because the way I read it was Machu didn't hear exactly what was going on, but kind of saw and the whole, smelling her hair. Well, if she had heard what Nyan was saying, that, oh, I'm sorry that I overdid it, right? I always do, right? Which I think Nyan necessity is suffering from.
It's more of a matter of, I think, Machu's continued greed. Because remember, to her argument before, that this was supposed to be a thing between Shuji and me, and it's not that she doesn't hear what's going on in there. The part that she hears is Shuji saying, "Oh, me and the Gundam really do like you, Nyan," and it's literally the opposite of what she wants to hear. Now Nyan isn't just taking the fighting away from her, she's taking Shuji away from her. It's more of the thing that was supposed to just be me and him. Now it's not even me and him anymore. He likes Nyan. Maybe he likes Nyan more than me. I better get out of here. For me, I was only incredulous about the scene moment where you can sneak up on somebody through an airlock and a shouting Haru. She covered the Haru's mouth. The picture of the Haru's mouth, it's got speakers on its head, sides of its head. That's where the sound comes from.
Anyway, your turn.
Hard what I should make of Nyan's air quotes boss. He wants to ask her advice on what to get his daughter as a gift, so he takes her out to eat, but at the same time tosses out that it'd be nonsense for her to have a dream. On one hand, treating her like a person, on the other hand, implying that said person has no future.
That's treating her like a resource, right? Oh, you're the girl kind of the age of my daughter, maybe. What you like? Oh, I don't know. Okay, well, never mind. I don't have more need for you than that, basically.
I don't think if he thought that little of her, he would try to even have a conversation. He's treating her like a person, but at the same time, it'd be stupid of you to have a dream. Like, okay, well, thanks.
I mean, she is a refugee, so very difficult for her
I'm not going to cover that because literally my next note covers that, and it's not my turn.
Anki? I said Anki's because I don't know Angie's.
Anki is how I say her name.
Anki's threat to blow up the GQuuuuuuX seems like a good security measure. Unless someone jams cell phone reception in the area, like say, floods the zone with Minovsky particles, or uses old-fashioned ECM.
Oh, they wouldn't do that, though. I understand that would save the Gundam, but remember that also Minovsky particles would indicate a war situation, which is what we covered like episode 2, episode 3, which means that the Side 6 military would then be fully deployed against the I'm using your terminology, against the Sudan, which would mean that they'd go into full-scale battle mode over this.
Yeah, but I also said it could be jamming cell phone signals, which technically wouldn't be an act of war.
No, the Minovsky particle thing would be an act of war.
Yeah, but that's why I say either use Minovsky particles or just jam cell phone transmissions. Like, oh, you're using an old-fashioned cell phone.
Again, I think that'd be a risk.
Oh,
because
minimal risk to save the Gundam.
No, I'm saying you might see it as just jamming cell phone. Somebody, people who are watching the thing, remember, they keep the thing on spotlights in the middle of the night. They could read it as, oh no, it might be its low-level Minovsky particle generation that we don't feel, but the side effects are the same, and it might still set off the same alarms.
Yeah, but unless Tyler didn't believe, because I guess he could read her mind, that her threat is just a bluff, right? Like, oh, yeah, I'll pretend that that's real. Sure, let's.
Again, for me, as I said before, it's like what women want. That movie, where you just read women's minds. That maybe he's just like, maybe this is how he survived the entire time. It is how he got into the position that he's in. Is that he can maneuver people through their own thought process.
So your next note then.
Interesting note about Nyan's apartment. She's got a poster for a job fair, implying that she wants out of this delivery business life. At the same time, posters of the transit routes and city locations all over the other wall. Interestingly enough, also what appears to be a map of the Lagrange points, I assume implying the locations of existent sides. I said I'd take a closer look at the calendar, but right next to it was an application for change of status of residence, with a note saying deadline here. The very confusing part is that she seems to be using an Indian calendar. Trying to identify the month indicated at the top suggests that it could be written in... Sorry, I've never said these words. Well, I've never said this one before anyway. Malayalam? which is itself a dialect in India, Bengali, or Tamil. Either way, considering that episode 3 took place on June 9th, and MASH's newspaper entry was listed as June 11th, and I'm pretty sure the month on the calendar in Nyan's apartment is in May, but even if I'm wrong, the 5th is circled as application day, and the application is both unfilled out and still on the board. It's already passed her by. She was going to attend a sale at the end of the week, and I guessed Waste was canceled next week. Point being is that she was going to apply to become a resident of Side 6 and not a refugee on Side 6. And I guess maybe she was planning to sell her stuff and move. But as indicated, it seems like her calendar is out of date. And even if it's wrong, I mean, not the calendar, even if I'm misreading it, the day that she has circled, the 5th, is already passed. Episode 3 was the 9th. MASH's thing from last episode, not the last episode, was the 11th. So it's well past the 5th already. And again, she never filled out the application.
Maybe she was still dodging the cops and couldn't get to the place. I mean, she was being looked up for the cops, so she was like, if I show up there, they can pick me up. And
I don't think so. She just goes back there anyway. If it was a matter of knowing where she lived, she never could have gone back. Especially
I'm not talking about where she lives. I'm talking about going to the, to the place to hand over the paperwork so she can make a change of residence.
My point is more so the fact that it's just still posted to the board, unfilled out. Like she didn't fill any of it out. There is not a single script on there.
It'll also be a copy, because she messes up the first one.
I have nothing to say to that. That is outside the purview of any conversation I could have. But what if she has multiple copies of the same form? Well, I don't know then.
Yeah. Anyway, to my next note. Machu's will up with her mother shows that as a teenager, she can't really articulate what she really wants because she doesn't even understand the implications of her desires, while her mother understands that such desires by themselves do not make sense or as a goal. In other words, they talk, you didn't fill up this paperwork, and the teacher is like, it's okay, she can weigh whatever. It's like, well, I want to swim in the oceans of Earth. And one's like, that's not a goal that you can, and yeah, okay, what, and then what kind of situation? Like, and of course, Machu responds, you don't understand. I can't talk to you because you don't understand my desires. But it kind of comes to that situation where teenagers say, I can't talk to my parents because they don't understand. And most of the time it's because teenagers themselves do not understand themselves and cannot properly articulate what they are. Also, parents also don't understand, which is, it can be both things at the same time, right?
Yeah, I mean, anyone that grew up in the 90s in hip-hop will obviously know. I can't remember the name of the song. Sorry, I was also laughing because two things. One, I just went through this whole thing where I don't even know if I'm leaving this in the edit or not, that I went over the fact that I have to say things like 2 or 3 times to make sure I'm understood. And literally, you read your note and then went to, in other words, and explained your thing a second time. The same thing I just talked about that I do all the time. I had to make sure.
Yeah, but I really want
sure that. Well, here's the thing: here's the part 2 of this. It's literally, we talked about it during the reaction, but I said the other side of the thing, where she says, "Okay, I want to swim in the oceans of Earth," and then blows up on her mother. Her mother getting upset that that's not a job goal, which is apparently what you're siding with her mother. My point was is that you need to work with her. And I was like, that's what I'm saying, is that she's not listening, and that's the whole point. And you need to make it an actionable goal. You want to swim in the oceans of Earth. Okay, how can we achieve that? Through job performance, right? Is there a job that we can get you that would allow you to then swim on the oceans of Earth? You need to work with the kid to help her achieve her goals instead of writing off her goals as fancy. Like, is there some sort of scuba diving? Like, is there a wreck? Like, there must be war wreckage on the bottom of the oceans that you can then, have to retrieve or something. Do you want to pick up pearls in India or Japan? Like, we can explore this in a way that makes sense and is possible instead of just blowing up on you that this is just a dream. Find a different job, thing that you want to do with your life.
Yeah, but a situation is it's like a mom comes in hard and angry, right? After Machu and her teacher have been waiting for them, he apologizes. Oh, I'm sorry I came late. By the way, you young lady, you're in trouble because you didn't finish this, right? And
No,
so
she's in trouble because she's skipping school.
Well, that too, but she slams the papers like, "Oh, you haven't done this."
No,
and you're
the
skipping
paper she
school.
slams down is an attendance record. I have a note about that later. It's an attendance record showing that she's been skipping cram school instead of doing, trying to figure out her life. That's what she's upset. It's not that she hasn't been doing any work. Well, in a sense, if you're skipping school, you're not doing any of the work. But that's not what she's slamming on the paper, on the thing. But my point is that getting angry and yelling isn't going to make you any inroads. It also isn't going to change her behavior, because that's not who Machu is. And I would assume that you as a parent would know what kind of person your child is, to at least have the inference to understand what you need to do. But again, I think we need to reach back a little bit further to the phone conversation, or the text phone conversation, implying that her mother is never around. That she was even just happy that her mother would show up at all, implying that she has a too busy work life.
Which is, again, when I said when the situation starts, we have this conversation, and then the teacher's looking at it, and she's like, yeah, my mom, and once again, my mom let me down. She's not going to show up and have to deal with this. And then when the mom shows up,
well,
hungry,
actually,
it's like,
she doesn't say anything to the teacher. They just sit in silence.
No, but it's again, they're like, because I've been there. You're moping like.
We already had a whole conversation about latchkey kids. I think we don't need to go into personal experience with this. I'm just saying that her mother needed to treat the situation differently. And it seems like you're siding with the mother about Machu.
Not really.
Your note read that way.
Both of them are, what I'm trying to say is that both of them are in their own worlds, and they can't connect. Machu doesn't know how to really express what she wants. To her, it's a simple thing. I just want to go to Earth and swim in the oceans. That's what I want.
I said repeatedly that I do not like Machu. She is a bad person. At the same time, I side with her on this aspect from the point of view that she's saying exactly what she wants, but her mother is just not having it. And as I said before, her mother needed to work with her about this, because clearly you could try and work this way through. What jobs are there that would get you to this place? Like maybe not even a job related to swimming in the ocean. Maybe just a job that puts you somewhere on Earth so that you could then recreationally in your off time. And I think the effort made towards showing, I'm going to try and help you out to get you to there, would have put her on a good footing with her mother, to open her up to all of this, instead of just blowing up and pushing her away. But like I said, what it felt like you were saying in your note was that you were siding with the mother, that Machu has unrealistic expectations, and that's not a good way to help her get into her mother's good graces.
It's a little column A and a little column B. I think that Machu, in her mind, thinks, this is clear. I just want to do this. Perfectly fine. Why can I not do this? And her interpretation of mother is like, that's unrealistic. You got to get your head in the game. But she's not listening to Machu, what Machu's actually saying.
She doesn't actually say it's unrealistic. She says it's not a job.
Yeah, well,
unrealistic would be saying, I want to be like president, and Machu is being like a refugee. It's like, well, you can't actually, or saying, I want to be president of the United States, and well, you're an immigrant. You literally cannot be the president of the United States. She's essentially saying you're saying something impossible instead of saying something unrealistic. Unrealistic would be,
Again, I think they're both at cross purposes. They're talking past each other and not talking to each other, which is pretty typical.
I guess in this aspect, even though I dislike Machu, I side with her over her mother, because her mother is basically an absentee parent. And when she is present, she's not doing anything to mend that relationship.
And she assumes that there's no problem until there's a problem, like most parents do. Well, many parents do.
Oh, no, I'm not like getting on her about that. Obviously, the problem you don't see is not a problem you're not having, or a problem you're having. I get on her on the aspect of she's clearly pushing her daughter away from her, and then not trying to help that at any aspect. Beyond trying to show up once in a while.
Anyway, to your next note then.
Books on Nian's shelf. Her diary, an 85 printing of Xi'an Institute of Technology 4, a revised version of Permanent Residence Permit application, an invitation by Crane, Sato Now, Children Grow Up by ... 2 versions. The Yellow Bee, the bee goes off into another book. I can't see what it says. I would say Yellow Bus. I don't know. And Twinkle. I would say 2 of those really important. Implies that she's got good technical experience, because again, Xi'an Institute of Technology. And then the other thing, like the application next to her calendar, a revised version of Permanent Residence Permit application.
So the Federation still ran apparently conducting human experiments. Oh, and our shell company is in fact more than a shell company, at least according to the records. It means that it must have some real traceable assets besides a bombed out building somewhere in Japan. Because, again, also needs, I would think you would need money. So there has to be a money trail in order for you to fund and be able to participate in, and which is not, it's illegal, I know.
I'm gonna try and meet you halfway here. I think it's not a shell corporation, and more than a shell corporation. You're saying it needs money. It's clearly a Federation front. So I'm going to say more than a shell corporation, because it's not a shell corporation. It's actually the Federation, and Federation assets are being handled into it. So clearly, I'm going to put $1 million into a bank account and then claim that the bank account exists to a non-existent corporation. So we can claim that it has assets, but the assets only exist on paper.
No, actually, no, the assets are real.
Well, no, they own a ship, but that ship could be anything. The same way that in Mobile Suit Gundam, the Flanagan's plane technically is supposed to belong to this other place on the other side of the... But is actually just Flanagan's plane. That ship doesn't have to be the company property of Amala Kamala. That could just be a Federation ship that they use. We need...
but when you said the million credits, or whatever...
Heights, whatever we want to use, whatever I'm just saying...
Those are real. Those are real.
Well, yeah, but I said that's only on paper. Like, if I
do a money transfer, lawyer.
I don't care about that. I was saying that its physical assets aren't real. You're, I guess, getting into the weeds on is money a physical asset. I'm saying that they can then use the money to to buy fake property, to claim that they have physical assets. Like, I have a physical location because I bought X building on X street, and that building could not even exist anymore. It could just be literally a hole in the ground. But on paper, we have a mailing address, we have a corporate headquarters, we have expenditures that say we spent this much money on furniture, blah, 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 blah.
You don't have to do that. You just buy a P.O. box and that's it.
I'm just saying that they could have assets on paper that makes them look bigger than they are. I don't know. I watched this whole thing once about trying to track down those companies that give you ads on very specific local singles in your area, and they're all actually seem to be owned by one company that then only has a P.O. box. So I'm just saying that it's all on paper is my argument, that it's a Federation front and all on paper.
Corporations are strawmen of the law, which is...
Like I said, I'm trying to meet you halfway here. That it's not a shell corporation, it's just the Federation that is manipulating paper trails.
Your next note, then.
The person who owns the 12 Olympians is said to run an unknown company named Amala Kamala. 1, not unknown if you know the name. 2, Amala Kamala seems to be a reference to a 1920s hoax about 2 young feral girls from India who were reported by a clergyman to have been raised by wolves. Apparently, there was even a 1971 movie made of it. Their import declaration slip to the director of Azuma Customs. Azuma is the name of the banshai that we're on. importer's address and name, Colony Public Corporation. Co-signer's address and name, Amala Kamala Company. Port of unloading, Azuma. Name of ship or aircraft to be loaded, Kobayashi Maru. Which, by the way, I'll point out that also in the scene where you see the ship going by, Kobayashi Maru is actually written on it, so it's not even a paper joke. It's in the show. Foreign port of landing. Sorry, I never said this one before. Tanagashima. One of the Asomi Islands belonging to Kagoshima Prefecture, famous for two primary reasons: the introduction of firearms to Japan in 1543, and being the site of Japan's space program. Bill of landing number MSMN 2000. Tariff table code 8415/statistical code 10. Reported to be carrying 261,100 kilograms of air conditioner. Taxable base for consumption tax, 25 million height. On the side of the ship it says Masamune Air Conditioning, and fair enough, the ship legit says Kobayashi Maru on the side, not just a joke in the paperwork.
I mean,
it's an unwinnable air conditioning scenario.
But the fact that the original Kobayashi Maru was named after, because Maru, I believe, it's meant Japanese for transport. So, especially during World War II, when Allies, met Japanese ships, and they say they're still named the same thing, it would be something like the Kobayashi Maru. It would be a Japanese transport named Kobayashi. Basically, that's what it means.
I think at this point, though, the zeitgeist, everyone's going to know the Star Trek thing more than they're going to know. I don't know. We'll say more than they're going to know World War II history or Japanese naming convention. But I guess at the end of the day, how big is Star Trek in Japan?
Yeah, so it might be a international joke. It's like, oh, it's a ship, and then people who are from outside Japan go like, oh, that's Star Trek.
I would have to think there might be some level of copyright law in this. What do you mean you named a ship that travels in space the Kobayashi Maru?
They probably actually.
You think Paramount hasn't copyrighted Kobayashi Maru?
No, because that would be a name of a Japanese ship. In fact, I think that was also the name of the ship that got hit by an American submarine and nearly sunk. They had some students on it. It was actually called the Kobayashi Maru. American sub hits Japanese fishing boat. Oh, it's
1914.
Ehime Maru and the U.S. Greenville Coalition. So it wasn't the Kobayashi Maru.
Oh, well, here's the thing. Well, it's the Komagata Maru incident, 1914.
Oh.
Because if you look up Kobayashi Maru, you get the Star Trek exercise, and then it literally links you for the 1914 historical incident. See Komagata Maru incident, which is the Japanese steamship attempting to migrate to Canada. Oh, I guess the Kobayashi Maru is based on the Komagata Maru. And I guess that's the workaround for copyright, is that we changed the name. So the fact is that this ship isn't named Komagata Maru, it's named Kobayashi Maru.
Kobayashi Maru, that's a reference to Star Trek. And that name in Star Trek was a runaround. Yeah. Either way, yeah. It's a rabbit hole that we can.
I mean, like I said, I didn't find any evidence that the term has ever been copyrighted.
I doubt it. There might be an actual ship called the Kobayashi Maru, and you don't want to.
Well, again, no, it's based on Komagata Maru, which is the ship that tries to migrate to Canada and gets turned back around, and then whole thing. But if they named their own thing Kobayashi Maru and put it after the thing, it's just that the problem with looking up Kobayashi Maru is that a situation, it's used as describing a situation so often that all you do is find situations being likened to Kobayashi Maru.
Anyway, moving on. I believe that was your note, right?
Yeah.
Yes. My next note. The Federation or faction therein wants to assassinate Caecilia. But that would only help Gearing consolidate power in Zeon and restart the war with the Federation. A war they lost badly.
Well, we don't have any indication that Gurren would then use the opportunity to start a war again with the Federation. We have the information that it feels like they're building up for a war, but it feels like the war that they're building up for is the one against themselves. Yeah.
But that would end the Civil War right there for him. And also, we know how Garen is very, I don't put it this way, genocidal.
Well, conceivably, he's been non-genocidal for the last 5 years.
No, rebuilding his forces and more worried about his sister usurping him. So,
Again, though, that's implication. That's not fact yet.
It seems to be that way.
I mean, again,
unless proving otherwise.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The idea is that they did sign a treaty and then didn't do anything for 5 years. That has to be a running series of evidences that war isn't happening. In fact, I guess it seems like the Federation's now the aggressor. Well, I guess technically the Federation was the original aggressor. Machu's school paper lists her last name as Usuria, which is, I've added that to the board. I guess I didn't add that in my notes. I added that to her name, her name and her mother's name. It also lists attendance up to the end of the month, suggesting that it's even later than I thought. She's currently taking classes in modern literature, math, classical
Japanese, probably.
World history, biology, and physics, which we know she's not doing good in. Because one, this is a cram school, which means that she was already failing that in her normal classes, and she's not attending, and she's not attending her cram school either.
If it's a cram school, it's actually usually they are college prep. What in the United States would be a college prep school.
This is high school, which would be our college.
No, this will still be the same high school, not your college. No, it'll be high school. 3 years of high school.
They have different levels than we do.
No, they have middle school and high school. Middle school is 3 years. High school is 3 years. That means that she's probably second year or close to being a third year. That's when you should start taking the cram school in order to get the
I'm
college.
going to throw this out there, lessons. None of this was part of my note. I just threw that in there at the end, and I'm realizing I don't care right now either. I don't feel like it informs the character any. I feel like when I said Nian...
Well, actually it does.
When I said Nian has a book about the Zeon technical stuff, that informs me about Nian, that in her off time, she studies technical stuff to the point where she might be wanting to attend a Zeon technical college. Whereas if she's in cram school, what the hell that means, the fact that she's not attending it means that it doesn't matter.
No. Here's the thing. I think it does matter because pressure and social expectations is for her to get into a good university or college, right? That's the atmosphere that she's in. Now she's trying to get away from that. It's like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to go to
that's what I'm saying. The fact that she's actively
abandoning
it matters.
It matters because it matters to her mother, which is why I think one of the reasons why she comes so, angry at her. Is like, what are you doing? This is your future, right?
But I think that's an element of why it doesn't matter. Because in a normal course of a narrative, I don't foresee her mother, the act of this might only be a 12-episode show, that her mother, the end of the show isn't going to be her mother forcing her back into school. It's going to be her launching into her self-defined narrative, which is finding herself, not the path that other people want her to take, but the path she chooses for herself.
Yes, but I think it's part of the context of what she's breaking away from. So understanding where she's at this moment, I think is important.
I think that's an element of the weeds. I think the fact that we know that she goes to a school and that she isn't going to that school is essentially all we really need to know. Which is why I say the element of what she isn't studying, based on the element of her attendance record, is an element of the weeds, that for some reason I wrote down, because I just write down everything that I'm forced to translate. If I take a screenshot, it's getting into the notes. I don't think it matters much because, again, the element of knowing that she's taking modern literature doesn't matter if she doesn't go to school, versus the importance of Nan's technical manual back in her bookshelf, because that's something she's choosing to do, and we would have to then think is actively pursuing, versus what Machu is not pursuing and actively trying to avoid going to.
Well, I guess my next note then. I guess Machu figured out she can't do everything by herself. Then again, it seems like Tsuji already figured out that they're coming for him and that he needs to move. And I say that because that's based on the conversation. Well, not a conversation. She's talking to, well, the Haru, really. Like, oh, I need to find a new place for Shinji, but I can't tell him to get away, so I have to solve this problem. But she doesn't know how to solve the problem because she overheard that, Angie is going to sell them both out, basically. Basically, sell out Tsuji. We can just give them the red Gundam and then we just leave and abandon the white Gundam.
I don't know if she's going to sell Machu out.
Well, she's kind of basically telling her, she's going to sell the Gundam from under her, basically.
Yeah. But I mean, not sell her out, because there's the previous conversation with Chalia where he's like, well, who's the pilot, by the way? And he says, oh, it's just some young girl. One of the two, implying that Chalia knows about Nyan as well. And the idea that she would be selling the Gundam out from under her implies that she's not going to sell both girls out, if that was the case, which might then imply that she's not going to sell Machu out either.
Well, they get caught off there, so we don't know if she told them who she was or not, but then they would have arrested her already or try to capture her.
Yeah, it seems like they made more of a deal for the Gundams than they did for the people.
Although without the Haru, I don't know it's going to work, but sure.
Oh, sorry. The other half was I don't think that Shuji knows. You said that Shuji seems to know that they're coming for him.
The way he's talking, they're talking about like, oh, it seems like, oh, I guess I got to paint something else. Like, he's like, I got to go somewhere else to paint because this place no longer serves the purpose. So,
well, no. He says I have to paint it again.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. The interpretation could be anything there. The fact is that he painted a big old white mark in his own place where he's already painted something there before. Is I got to paint again. He doesn't indicate anything about moving or anything. It's just like I don't know what to read into that.
Next. Your next note.
Both are true. No clue where I got the idea that the Federation base was former. I guess conflating Seed Destiny stuff with this show. That and the element that it didn't seem like the Federation was still a thing, considering that Zeon has been having to take care of former Zeon soldiers. Either way, Amala Kamala's reported location is near a special Federation forces research facility, one that conducts human experiments, and run by members of the Federation intelligence who'd use poison gas. Ironic.
Yeah. Also, might be a reference to an oblique reference to there was an infamous Japanese unit that ran experiments on disease and human experiments, especially with Chinese prisoners.
Legitimately stuff that I've edited out of previous shows. So
yeah, it might be an oblique reference to that and leave it at that.
Well, I mean, this Federation base is located in Japan.
So yeah. That's the thing. If you know, you know. If you don't know, it's like, okay, so they're doing that. If you know, you're like, oh man, kind of situation. My last note. So Caecilia has her secret service and so does Girin. You can feel the family love all over the place.
Well, you will when the bomb goes off.
It could be a bomb. It could be a missile. It could
No, I'm making a joke. You'll feel the love all over the place. It would be all spread out. Just ask, what's his... Oh, goddamn, I can't remember anybody's names. What's his name? He was in charge of the political operations back in Origin. He was also a zombie. He was the first zombie to die.
Yeah, the middle brother.
He was in the car with Dozel.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't the middle brother. He was the oldest brother.
Oh, I think Garen was the oldest brother.
I want to say he was the oldest. I can't remember now. Obviously, it would be in my main Gundam notes. Actually, it wouldn't be. I deleted those after I made them. So,
Well, I think he was the middle brother because otherwise that means that Casey might not have been the one who killed him. Could have been Garen. After all, if he's the older brother, he gets rid of the older brother.
no, definitely Caecilia did it because he slapped her.
Yeah,
She like bleed mud coming out of the mouth.
I think it's he's older than Doso, but younger, and older than Caecilia.
Sasro, that was his name. Sasro.
I think Sasro is the second brother, not the oldest brother.
I don't know. I have in my feels. I feel like he was the oldest. I obviously don't have my notes in front of me about that show. So somehow Chalia Bull is Zeon's most powerful new type. But Federation human experimentation has created cyber new types to combat actual new types. I guess they never developed their own a group of new types in the Federation and had to resort to creating them. That or they just lost all the people they suspected may have been new types in the war and had to resort to doing what they could to create a solution to that.
Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that.
Well, lean more towards the beginning of the note then. Chalia Bull is Zeon's most powerful new type. They say that.
I believe that Chalia Bull is considered the current strongest, new type the Zeon has, because probably the strongest one that they had, because we don't know anything about Lala joining them at any point, died in the Signova. So they're like, oh.
I wasn't arguing temporally that he is the strongest across all time. They say he's Zeon's most powerful new type. And I've already indicated what I think is up with Lala. She's on Earth singing, luring all new types to Earth. Well, I mean, the fact that everyone's hearing the Lala song, and apparently most new types want to go to Earth all of a sudden, seems to indicate the two things are connected. Also, I know that there's the double background thing going on, where apparently this is based off of a background we didn't get, and we're basing our thoughts on Origin, but not for nothing. Yeah. Lala would still be on Earth if Char didn't pick her up. So the fact that she would be on Earth singing or whatever, Kira, might be drawing. That's my thought. That's my theory about what's happening there and why we're going to Earth eventually.
Those were my notes then. I'm done with my notes.
Caecilia hasn't left the moon in 5 years, meaning that she didn't leave to go to Abaquo near the end of the war, as I guess Operation Star One never happened, which also serves to explain why they might have tossed Solomon at Granada. It would take out one of the members of Zeon's ruling family, and no doubt damage Zeonic and Anaheim in the process.
Yeah. Instead of trying to slam it against the Zeon home Banshee.
I mean, I have no explanation for that. I'm just pointing out that they said that Caecilia hasn't left the moon in 5 years, which would indicate that she was still on Granada when Solomon was thrown at it.
I mean, it's been 5 years since the end of the war, so
yeah.
Not necessarily.
Well, technically, yes.
Technically, yes. Okay, good.
Technically, yes means that I had a whole thought process. I went through it all in my head and then concluded that it went nowhere and just answered with yes. Because technically, yes, it's still true. What you said is true, technically. Technically, yes. Well, to be fair, where have we seen her? In the 1 year war. The war that we know, not the war that we get from episode 2.
Okay, times that we saw Caecilia. We saw her in a weird space station near the moon, but the camera shot was weird, so we're not really sure. We saw her on Earth with Machu or Marquise, and we saw her on Abaquo when she took that shot with that weird gun that some people wear, and Zeons have.
Right, my indication though is that if Star One didn't happen, then she didn't go to Abaquo.
True.
And if she hasn't left the base in 5 years, she hasn't left Granada in 5 years, then the implication reads to me that whatever she was before the end of the war, She just stayed in Granada.
Although I would probably say that she was at least in orbit of the moon.
Well, because actually, remember, and I'm just calling this now. She left Granada to go to Apico. Remember, that was the little fleet that she took, and when Green's like, well, her fleet should be so much bigger. Why is she coming with so few ships? Because, she ran into a problem on the way. So we know that she was at Granada before Apico. So the indication would be then she never left she never left Granada to go to Apico. So for however long she was at Granada before, she just stayed there forever.
It might be her center of power now. That's why she stayed there. She couldn't go back to the Sion homeland because that would be risky for her.
Yeah. All right, I've got one note left. So, DEUX is the pilot of the Psycho Gundam and considers her real body to be the Gundam's, and she is just the heart of it. Sounds really familiar, but obviously not from the Universal Century series, as I haven't seen anything these people are from. I want to say maybe from Vanada's Heart, which was the Witch from Mercury prequel manga series that I'm only 7 chapters into, as I haven't picked it back up yet since Griffin and I were doing manga reviews for it. I'm pretty sure the kids in that were treated much the same as DEUX considers herself here, which is to say they treat themselves as like parts of the Gundams that they pilot. But, I don't know the full story of Vanada's Heart quite yet, because I'm only 7 chapters in. Apparently there's some facility that the doctor is from that she took the kid from, because the kid can only live for like so far distant from the Gundam itself. So that's why they kind of refer to it as the heart thing there. Assumedly, if they go like over like 2 kilometers or something away, I can't remember. I think it's probably a shorter distance away from the Gundam, something bad will happen. Hasn't shown up the show yet, though. In the manga. As a reminder, Vanada's Heart, I says the prequel manga series from Witch from Mercury. Witch from Mercury is another Gundam property, for those that might not know or paid attention.
Anything else?
Well, that's all the notes. As I said, we do have a comment. All right, we have 1988 from the episode Neon Doesn't Know About Kira Kira. And preface this, I have included a theta note ahead of time. This is an edited comment to remove possible spoilers. There was like 2 sentences that I think referred to the possibility of stuff happening in the future that we haven't seen yet. Kycelia was only 24 in 0079 and is at most 30 in GQuuuuuX. She's one of the many characters who suffered along with Chalia Bull, 28 in 0079, 34 in GQuuuuuX, with their original designs looking way too old for their actual age. My understanding of their usage of refugees is pointing towards maybe Federation survivors who stayed in space to work and live after the Federation lost the war. This actually happened a lot after World War II, where German POWs were sent to the US or other countries for imprisonment/work on farms, and so on, ended up staying and immigrating after they were released. Based on the reactions we see every time the term refugee was brought up, I'd assume they're generally being discriminated against and aren't being treated well. The way Nian spoke after getting in the cockpit made it seem like she's piloted a mobile suit before. You're probably right about the police thing, since she got the bruise after likely getting caught, and was wearing shades afterwards to cover up the bruise.
Yep, I agree with all of that. Although I don't... the whole that she might have piloted a Gundam before, or a mobile suit, that's pretty iffy. Possible, but we don't have any other evidence other than...
I think I brought it up last episode. Damn it. The difficulty of going through multiple paragraphs of thoughts. I think it was during the new types thing. What if the Saikamu creates simulated new types? Let's see. I mean, on the other hand, Yan makes a very new type statement in saying it's like the other time. I think that's where I'm leaning in on that. She gets into the cockpit and says this is like the other time.
You should be escaping from a Federation new type training facility.
Could be. Could be the indication of that, although the thing is with the DEUX is that she seems to be, I don't know, her body seems to be as such, like she's been manipulated from like infant upwards, that her body is just not the same as a normal person's anymore.
Yeah.
Like we eliminated everything that a normal person would need, because the only thing we need you for is to pilot a mobile suit. So you don't need to be as physically fit as anybody else. Also, you're going to be in a zero-G environment most of the time, so you don't even need a good bone structure or whatever. Yeah. And Nyan doesn't seem like that.
Also, yeah, Nyan would have to be very much older, because she seems to be, 18 at most?
20? Well, she doesn't have to be older. I guess even to counter my own argument, Nyan could have escaped at an early age and then just, like, redeveloped.
So,
I mean, depending on how early you escape. See, my mind is now going to Gundam 00 for some reason. There was a facility like that in Gundam 00 where literally one of the main characters escaped from. The problem there in Gundam 00, though, he develops a psychological condition based on trying to suppress his experiences there. The thing is that he's got this like vicious other half. What do you call it when you have two different personalities? Multiple personality disorder. Yeah, he has a multiple personality disorder where he is a very peaceful person who doesn't remember the past, and a vicious other side of him that wants revenge for everything that was done to him. So, could be. I mean, Nyan does feature a peaceful, happy side, and then when she got into the Gundam, very vengeful, and she was like, I hate when I let loose like that. I think it's something she says. That's not the person I want to be, or I am. And the fact is,
I always go too far. That's what she said.
Yeah, the fact is that this show could be inspired by all previous Gundam franchises that came before it. Or the fact that, Gundam 00 is itself inspired by Gundam Wing, which itself feels also way over the top inspired by other Gundam stuff that came before it. Alright, well, that was the comment. Anything else you want to bring up before we get into the episode proper?
Nope.
Alright, well, let's go ahead and hop on into it.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
I really do like this song. It's not yet a year one for me, but every time it comes, I'm like, oh yeah, this is nice.
I mean, maybe I need to hear it more. But again, for me, it's still like middle ground. Like, meh. Not bad, not great.
No.
Like, I was just thinking earlier today.
Yeah.
Well, earlier today, I was editing some of the Macross Delta episodes that I had still on backlog. And I really, even though I had all these negative comments to say about, like, episode 13, I really do like the scene where Freya, like, jumps off the side of the ship and singing into the air. Because, like, when she's doing it, I know this isn't Macross Delta, I'm just throwing it out there anyway.
Yeah.
When she's doing it, she's building up the momentum of the episode into the song. Like, it's like, oh no, Hathaway's in this bad position. And then she's like, but wait. Because, like, she's not saying those words, but the lyrics of the song that she's building into the momentum, and it's, like, somewhat diegetic, you know, because it's the momentum of the scene that's carrying the momentum of the song, and you don't get that very often. Certainly not with this. And I'm always going to be influenced by
like
Red Birthmark from Witch Mercury.
I think everybody in the order in which everyone is following each other, it's like they chasing each other.
I don't know, maybe I'm also influenced by Hajime no Ippo then, because Hajime no Ippo has an ending where Ippo is running, and then everyone starts following behind him as the ending keeps going.
どうした？なんで立ち止まった？
大丈夫。なんでもない。
なんだよ今日は。隔壁にもミノフスキー粒子が巻かれてんのか？
I mean, you gotta think she's also thinking about the most opportune moment to steal the Gundam.
Yeah.
修二の隠れ家がバレた。明日には軍警に伝わっちゃう。その前になんとかスペースグライダー手に入れて修二を逃がしたいんだ。
Oh. The space glider
Yeah,
takes
she
her.
did.
しおちゃんのこと好きなの。
By the way, I didn't mention it, but the text on the top of her umbrella was an advertisement for a restaurant.
Probably where she was eating at. Yeah.
I don't remember.
軍警さん、今日はやけに騒がしいな。
ああ、クラバの情報を掴んだらしいですよ。
Oh no.
日本砲のモビルスーツ
Oh
バトルですよ。
no.
部長、知らないんですか？
ふん。
Oopsie. I hope they're not setting up to a thing if this is gonna happen.
ペルガミの大統領に感謝いたします。前任のランク政権ではこれほどスムーズには進みませんでした。
いやいや、こちらこそ、キシリア閣下
There
に
he
お
is.
越しいただき、大変恐縮しております。
Cameron off to the side.
Yeah.
本題に。
Remember,
That's
監
good.
査局としましては、
sunlight amplification.
地球環境の修復が
We're
目
gonna
的の
make the solar ray. Kycelia inside 6 with the solar ray.
検察工程の査察チームには
I was about to say, remember Cameron Bloom's dad used to be the former administration.
我々もその責任を負いたいということであります。
もちろん。心強い。
Well, it wouldn't be a Gundam series with a super weapon of some sort.
ザビの女が頭を下げるところ見ものだったろう。
He's not bowing down, you idiot.
ジオンが金の無心とは惨めなものだ。
コロニー落としの罪滅ぼしのつもりなのでしょうか。
連中の考えることはよくわからん。連邦に戦争を仕掛けるなど狂気の沙汰と思ったものだが、今度は国が傾くほどの予算を使って一体何の得があるのか。
And also, I mean, arguably, picking a fight with the Federation worked out well for them in this universe.
なんで取り締まるの？あれの運営でいくら儲かってるか知ってるだろ？
Well, I told you that they were making a lot of money out of it. That it wasn't so secret after all.
Were you not satisfied with my 2 you were rights in my note?
護衛のエグザベ賞位を急がせま
I
す。
can always use a third one.
ここの匂いはスカン。
マチュのリベリオン。
シリア様がおられるというのに、まったく軍警は余計なことしかせん。
She's already here.
どこへ行かれたんですか？あれ、スマホの電波が。
Yeah, go figure that
Yeah,
they would be the ones spreading Luminovsky particles. You kept looking up as though you weren't getting my implication.
何か問題？
コロニー内にミノフスキー粒子が散布された。通常のアビオニクスが使えなくなるぞ。
どうでもいいの？僕はこのミノフスキー粒子の匂いが大好き。
Yeah, it's a new thing.
今日もニャンなんだね。まあ、面白いからいいけど。
シュウちゃん、町と合流したらそのまま3人で地球へ行く。
Oh yeah, the dream sequence. Though, why we shouldn't that was hit here? Machu had that dream sequence.
今日はバトルが終わっても私から離れ
Oh,
ないで。
if they're all connected mentally,
で
perhaps.
もまあ、わかった。
Skin to skin communication?
ずっと一緒にいて。
Skin to skin, it's when they touch each other.
No. It said that on the transmission thing. Inside the Gundam.
Okay.
なんでコロニー校舎の空調機が飛んでいるんだ？
これってモビルアーマーじゃないですか。
Is it?
それより荷物をまとめろ。
なんで？あれ、ファンキーは？
We're leaving.
Well, yeah, in the safe. Oh, Machu's in the safe.
開いた。泥棒だぞ。どうせ私と修二が稼いだお金だし、有意義に使わせてもらう。
And that's why she pulls a gun on her.
そういうことか。
ところで、
Game gotta respect game.
動かしているのはどのような
I'm gonna sell you out. Now you're cashing out.
お嬢ちゃんさん。
二人とも
今ジークアクスに乗っているのはあの運び屋だな。
To be fair, she had the drop on you and she didn't do anything. You don't need to pull a gun on her.
大勢いる方に行くなんておかしい。
ガンダムめ、お前らの相手をしてる暇はないんだよ。で、排除しろ。
今日はキラキラするのかな。
It feels like the Destroyer, right?
Well, they call it a mobile armor, but I'm assuming this is the Psycho Gundam.
Yeah. It is. Oh, it is the Psycho Gundam.
I mean, to be fair, Side 6 is a third faction to the Federation. And there's never been any indication that the Federation is actually good. I think Anki's still pretty awesome, actually. She's a great character.
修二は私が守る。お前には打てっこないよ。モビルスーツで戦うのと直接自分の手を汚すのは全然別のことさ。男で身を滅ぼすなんてダサすぎるんだよ。
Be a real change of pace if you pull that trigger.
It would be, wouldn't it?
Okay, I meant it would be a change of pace if you pull the trigger and actually hit her with a bullet. Yeah, I mean,
I think
not
you
for
people should
nothing,
run.
I'm literally not a nobody. I'm literally, like, I love that scene where she's, I'll blow it all up, and she looks fucking crazy.
Yeah, those are not junk traders, dude.
Well, they think a clan battle is happening.
Yeah, this is beyond a clan battle. Yeah, I think I know what's gonna happen with the Psycho.
Don't spoil anything, because apparently you already know shit. Okay, I was like, why are you in the Red Gundam?
私もシュウちゃんももう逃げられない。マーチュってシュウちゃんのこと好きなの？ニャンこそあいつのことどう思ってる？
いや、
I'm thinking we form Gundam's first polycule.
目を覚ますとガンダムが言っている。
シュウちゃん、私と二人で逃げよう。
Ah, you bitch.
全部捨てて、ここから一緒に逃げよう。
They're all awful. Well, to be fair, Neon's a little less awful. I can't blame her for trying to get hers when she's got so little to begin with. Ah, wrong answer. The right answer was Earth.
何これシュウちゃん
I mean, it can only be one person.
このパラメーターは
Char, right? Char coming back?
かなこんなところに
Manifesting from out of the Red Gundam?
心に穴が開くぞ
Also, not for nothing, Kaecilia's here, and then Char shows up. Go figure the Psycho Gundam's gone. I don't know, is there a word for it?
Psycho?
It's the joke.
何も聞こえません。キシリア様、屋上へ。
Oh, she's also a new type?
Yeah, why not? Makes sense. Caecilia forms a new type core because she's a new type. Zeknova! Or a reverse Zeknova.
待ってシュウちゃん
向こう側が見える。
シュウちゃん
Do you think Shuji was what's her name's Mav?
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's
How just happened?
it's the reverse Zeknova. Char's coming back. Or it was just a Zeknova. And that was it.
どうしたで、しっかりしろキシリアまであと一歩なのにくそ
Damn it, I so thought I was right. That Char was the Gundam and Char was coming out of the Gundam. Did not think that the armor was bits.
あいつ何をしてるんだ
Okay, I guess technically they're not bits, they're just...
No, literally, they're bits of the armor.
Yeah, but I mean not like classical... Cool eyes.
やらせるかメガリウス砲用意
Well, that didn't work out.
In Ifield. Now we're in the what's the name? Evangelion territory.
From the makers of.
Yeah.
何が起こってるのクランバトルは
I don't know. I think we're well beyond the clan battle thing.
ジークアクスなんでこんなところにヤンはどこシュウジは
動くな持ってるものをゆっくり避け
照合開始します
Good identification software, considering that most of her face was covered.
テロリストめ抵抗するな
違うテロリストじゃない
動くな
Oh, there goes the money.
なんだ
ありがとうジークアクス
Okay. Moved on its own? Or did the Haru do that? I was just thinking if Nyan was in there, then she did a bitch move of like maybe moving the hand in front to block bullets.
キシリア様
連邦のサイコミュ兵器か
ぶつけるぞキシリア様から引き剥がす 直上からモビルスーツ
Gotta appreciate the Sodan's dedication.
キシリア様
Hey, it's a McQueen
Oh, is it?
special.
Yeah.
こいつ灰色の幽霊だ。
Oh, the thing he ordered for that Simius brought.
Oh, so much for him.
Certainly delivers on a lot of what if. Did he though? Really feels like you got a lot of help.
There's a lot of dead people in that colony.
Yeah. So the Kurga, whatever it was called, is actually just another version of Big Brawl.
Yeah.
I feel like we're gonna get into some later Universal Century stuff and be like, oh, that's her! I know how she dies in the future in a different universe. Kikuroga, that was it. Kikuroga is just another form of Big Brawl. I mean, where also did Nyan run off to?
Yeah.
I mean, you could. No, yeah, not that part though.
GQuuuuuX のパイロット。
Okay, a transforming version of Big Brawl.
Yeah.
Or is it more like the thing from the end of Igloo? It didn't penetrate the outside of the colony though, so benefit there. So the dream was actually a new type vision. That ruined your life.
Lost her job. Yeah. She just lost her job, and so did his dad too, probably.
Okay, so she got Shuji's robot. And Xavier. Or Xave, as they say in the English version. So are we establishing that Machu is gonna fight for Giran and Nyan is gonna fight for Cassilia? And that they're gonna have to fight each other later on in the show?
No, because if that was the case, then what's his name? Chyla had a perfect ability to kill Cassilia and didn't take it.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, I'll talk about it after. Doesn't matter right now.
これでサイド6での任務は終了だが、貴様にはすぐ次の認知へ向かってもらう。は。閣下のチベが到着したようです。
We drew eyes on it, because of course.
キシリア様、よろしかったのでしょうか。自分がソドンを離れて。
今日の働きでシャリアブルが総帥のスパイではないと証明してみせた。
I accept that he
少
is.
尉がソドンにいる必要はない。この少女が家族や親しい友人がいるなら一緒にジオンへ呼び寄せても構わんぞ。
He has no one.
誰も今回規模は小さいですが戦闘中にゼクノバの反応を観測しています。
それで赤いガンダムはまたどこかへ消えたというわけですか。
Kind of feels like this just happens a lot. That he's just been tracking it down from jump to jump.
今のジオンは危うい均衡の上に成り立っています。バランスが崩れればあっという間に戦争が始まってしまう。ようやく手に入れたこの平和を保つにはギレン総帥とキシリア閣下お二人を同時に排除しなくてはなりません。
Oh, okay. He's a double agent for Giren.
No, he's
Don't
following
correct me.
Char's.
Don't correct me.
Oh, she's in prison, I guess.
Okay, so I wanted the scene to play out because we talked over a lot of really important shit at the end there. What I meant by double agent for Giren is that Giren thinks he's operating for him, but he's actually operating against him. I didn't mean double agent as though he's playing from some other party as well. Like, technically he's playing for himself, but also
But that would be a double agent then.
I don't care. Okay?
What do you mean you don't care? Use a term and then you don't care about the term?
Yeah, I don't care about the term when I use it. I care about terms when the show uses it because the showrunners have to be very specific about when they're talking about a thing.
They didn't mention double agent.
I don't so much care when I'm wrong about using the wrong term. I guess I only care when you decide to be pedantic against me the same way that I get pedantic against you. Like, I don't blame you for jumping on me about the term. It's just I don't want to spend showtime focusing on it. What I was talking about before, about Nian being used as, like, Caecilia's agent, or not agent, but and then Machu being used as Giren's, is that before they expressed the idea that Chalia is working against both sides. So I keep forgetting how long after this we get into the next time on. Very close.
宇宙世紀0079地球連邦軍は宇宙要塞ソロモン落下作戦を決行する。
Oh, she was apparently.
戦力は残されているのか。次回月に落ちる。待って、私の出番は。
Yeah, I mean, we knew that she was. We discussed it before in the notes. Sorry, I do enjoy that we're getting another flashback to previous times, because I enjoy those things. Yeah, what I was indicating was that it seems to me that if I was trying to anticipate the narrative of the show, then the thing would be to establish how much these characters like each other, and then cause them to separate, and then have that separation event then lead them to come back to one another to fight each other closer to the end of the show, which is why I was saying, oh, if one of them gets picked up by somebody who's operating on the Caecilia side of things, and one of them gets picked up by somebody operating on the Giren side of things, then the thing to be was have the Civil War happen, and then have these two come and fight one another near the end. But then, you know, wrench thrown in the works there for Chalia being his own thing.
Okay. It's still gonna work, because I think what's happening with Chalia, he's following Char's dream. He wants to kill them both because that's what Char originally wanted to do. Right?
Well, Char was doing it for his own reasons. I think Charlie is doing it for a Zeon can't afford this kind of thing. And I'll think if I take them both out, maybe Darcia is still around.
Here's the thing. It's still probably going to happen, because if Nian is on the side of Caecilia, when Chila goes after Caecilia, because the issue I think here is timing. He doesn't want to take one out and have the other one rise to power. He has to time it so that both of them are taken out simultaneously.
I wasn't debating that part. I mean, I think we understood that.
So the moment that either he
do you think Giren was on Granada?
No, I think Giren was always either on Abaquo.
No, I'm talking about back when Solomon was being thrown at it.
No, probably not.
The idea that could have been an event also to try and take both of them out at the same time. Because if Operation Star 1 didn't happen, then the idea is that Giren wouldn't have needed to put up a massive defense at Abaquo, and they might have tried to do a joint operation from Granada to attack maybe Jaburo or something, And that's why they threw Solomon at Granada, because essentially it would be the stand-in for Abaquo, the focus point or the focal point of the war at that moment. And then Solomon then hitting Granada would have taken out basically the zombie command.
Yeah, it could be, but I don't think so. I don't think Kieran would have wanted to show the same spaces because if he could avoid it.
I mean, to the 1 year war, he didn't care back then.
Yeah,
he welcomed Caecilia into the command center. In fact, thought she was joking when she pulled a gun on the back of his head.
Yeah,
classic zombie family jokes. You should see Thanksgiving.
But okay, what I was saying is they had to take them together. So either, I think this is how it's going to go. I think Chyla probably thinks that Garen is on his side. So Garen, he has a greater chance of taking out Garen himself. And then he's going to send, what's his name? Maya, to kill Caecilia. That's when she faces down with Neon. And then there's two elements here. One would be Savior, whether he probably will try to defend Caecilia. But also, if we have a Signova and there's a chance that the Red Gundam reappears again, with or without Chuji or whoever happens to be at this time, because if we're thinking that Signova keeps absorbing new types into itself somehow, following your idea that that's what happened with the original Signova, then someone else must be piloting it at this time around, right?
I mean, I disagree, but I'm letting you keep going. I'll bring in my thoughts after you're done.
He would be the wild card of what does Chuji, or if we follow the train of thought, and I think it's, this kind of proof that you were kind of right, that it was, that's what it does. Then what Char wants to do, right? And does Char wants to kill them both, and he's going to try to help them, or he's going to try to stop them, or try to do something else? So ultimately, the wild card is going to be the Red Gundam. I
think I'm going off on another wild, crazy tangent. I think Shuji was, what's her name? Was she your name? I think Shuji was her Mav. I think that the Zeke Nova absorbs one person and then releases the other. I think Shuji was her Mav. Char is in the Gundam. And then when the Zeke Nova comes back, it'll Zeke Nova itself back into reality somehow. It's either that or the Zeke Nova is a teleportation. It's just appearing somewhere else. That maybe
a lot of energy.
That maybe Shuji is going to be in the Gundam, and then Char is going to come out. That it's going to keep flip-flopping. Assuming it happens more than one time.
Whatever the Signova is supposed to be.
That's what I'm saying. That's my interpretation. That I'm still going with Char was in the Red Gundam, and then Shuji was, what's her name's Mav, and the combination of the two causes the Zeke Nova. It's either that, or it's going to be that Shuji is a merging of the two. They Tuvixed.
Char and...
Yeah, Shuji. That's why Shuji's so weird. It's not because Shuji's just a weird guy. It's that he's two different people in one. And when he says, the Red Gundam says, it might actually be Char says. Because we know Char's a manipulative son of a bitch, too. So it's not like it'd be above him to say, oh no, I really like you, Nyan. Blah, 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 blah. Same way he did to Chalia. Same way he did to Lala.
I was going to say something, but something I was afraid that was going to happen in this episode was that I think Machu's mother was going to get killed. We have seen her in the battle, and I think, okay, one of those beams is going to go through her building and just kill her, just to amp the tension, right? Look how deadly this is.
I think it would only work if Machu was in a position to see it, to recognize, oh no, the course of my own rebellion, the course of my own actions has caused this thing to happen.
I mean, she could have been running and see the beams and oh no, that's where my mom works.
Oh no, I'm talking about when Machu was in the White Gundam. To see the events playing out before her and to then recognize, oh no, the folly of my own actions. Or, my childhood rebellion has led to this.
Yeah. I mean, there's a good chance her parents are going to both lose their jobs.
We've never seen her dad. Like
he says he's a diplomat. He's a diplomat probably for Side 6. So
we don't know he's a diplomat. The only time we've ever heard.
The
only time we've ever heard about her dad was her mother brought him up last episode to say that didn't me and your dad didn't we have a conversation about the path that your life should take? That's the only time he's ever been referenced.
Nope. He was referenced in the news article saying who she was. Like, oh, her mother works at this division. Her father is a diplomat.
You know, I'm the one who translated the whole thing. Tell me what word pops up for him, and I will search my document for it.
No. I mean, right in this episode.
Yeah, in this episode, it is the same exact news article from her dream in episode 3.
No. Talk about news article. I'm talking about literally someone was talking.
You said like news article.
Yeah, because it was in news talking about how she was a criminal.
Well, you can't get me on details for the episode we just watched. Literally, that's why we rewatch them and take notes.
Yeah, but when you watch it,
and quite literally, a lot of shit was happening.
There's a voiceover. While the mom's going like this, and one of the coworkers looks at her like, "Oh, so you're in trouble now, right?" There's a voiceover saying, "Oh yeah, the suspect is so and so, is a minor, and blah blah. Her mother works here, and her father's a diplomat."
I legit only remember them mentioning the mother. So, in the right now, before note taking, I only remember the mother being mentioned.
No, it was both of them. We don't see a picture of the father. We just see her mention how her father's a diplomat.
Once again, only thing I remember is literally from the parent-teacher conference from last episode where she mentions the dad. I don't even think the dad gets mentioned in the first episode where we were wondering, is that her mom? I remember you positioning that could just be her roommate.
Or elder sister or something like that.
Yeah. So, like you said, the dad is so not mentioned that we couldn't even figure out that was the mother the first time we saw her.
Well, there you have it. That was this episode. A lot of action, good action, surprises. Because I didn't expect Cassilia to survive this.
Oh yeah, definitely. I didn't suspect anybody was going to die. I didn't expect the Neon betrayal. As much as I put everything out there, I didn't expect Neon to be like, just you and me, let's go together. Forget about Machu. At the same time, though, Neon has like nothing. It's like I'm not gonna look down upon her for trying to get something from this world. So,
but I told you, both of them, I think, were in love with him, and so it's like, yeah, and he's like, no, and I told you he's sort of pushing back, like, okay, no.
Well, to be fair, the moment he's pushing her back is the moment the Zygnova is starting to start. So, who the hell knows if he's pushing her back? You try to get to a safe distance, or I don't feel that way. It could be anything. The problem is there's a lot of stuff in the show that I would look at either just from my own feeling about what's happening or from the position of this is kind of ambiguous if you think about it for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah. So Machu is a prisoner. Well, she's in the Green Base.
I don't think she's a prisoner. I think she's just the opposite of what Neon is.
She is literally in the cell at Green Base.
That doesn't mean anything.
Well, they don't have a bed.
Think about any Voyager episode where we pick up somebody for the first time. They always get put in some sort of shielded environment before we take them back. Machu, I don't feel like is going to be the most acquiescent of people the moment we take her in. It's like, no, let me go. I've got to go see this, or I got to take my mother, or where's Nyan at? Where's Shuji at? They got to repress her a little bit to get her into a position where they can talk to her. Let's explain the situation to you, you backward Side 6 civilian.
You teenage you. Oh, that's it? Unless you have anything else to add.
I mean, nothing off the top of my head. This is way too much. Alright, well, that said, I have been Theta. This has been Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video and what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?